Yeah, so trusting dad was also a mistake. Turns out he is just as delusional as mom. And neither of them can understand how hurtful denying the truth is, believing a lie is, forcing that lie upon your children is, forcing that lie upon other people's children. Like, they're still out there doing it. And there is nothing I can do to stop them. I tried. I tried everything I could. But they choose to be wrong. Uh, their belief system does not have a mechanism to allow change, so there's no way I can change their minds. Uh, I'll put the scariest Bible verse I've ever seen on screen now. It basically says, if you're not one of us, you're wrong. If you are one of us, you're right. But what is that based on? Nothing. Bullshit. A feeling. Nothing that can be measured, nothing that can be repeated, nothing that we can actually like rely on or use in any meaningful way. That's what they choose to believe over me. So in my second most trying time, they already failed me in my first. In my second most trying time, they are failing me again. They are choosing again not to listen to me. They are choosing again to believe bullshit. And it hurts. It hurts a lot. I miss my parents. I don't understand why they think this is okay, why they support a God who kills kids. That is what he does in the Bible. Who demands animal sacrifice, not just any animal, one that you like, one that you are bonded to, connected with. Like, what the fuck? Uh, I was actually going through the Bible with my dad before we kind of escalated into just repetitive nonsense. Basically, we were going through it because I was going to see, all right, let's see where our views diverge. Because I'm not necessarily opposed to people just believing in God. Like, you can believe in a force, like even an entity that's outside of our, like, comprehension. Like, I understand that concept. It's just this specific one, it's really terrible. Um, and so we started going through, and we went through Genesis, and he said, God created the heaven and the earth. And I said, all right, what you say is God creating this, I can say is the universe creating, it's not like intentional, it just kind of happens. The earth. And it is a miracle. I think it qualifies as a miracle in a lot of ways, just the statistical improbability, but the kind of the beauty in our planet's specific history of how the moon was formed. We still don't fully know, but we have some guesses, and they're all pretty interesting. And so basically, like, I was willing to say, like, all right, I'm fine if you believe that a god set that into motion, those scientific processes. If you believe it was literally 7 days, I don't think that's true. You got to consider that the earth is a changing thing, that the land hasn't always been where it's been, and the oceans haven't always been where they've been. So it's not like God made it the way it is today all the way back then. He made it, you know if you believe that he made it. However, it was made a, I mean, it's hard to even draw a line. When was it made versus when was it just stuff floating through space? When was it this or that? So we were okay there. But then we got to the Garden of Eden, and my interpretation of the Garden of Eden thing is that God said to these people that he made out of dust, we didn't actually spend much time on that. I can believe that, if you think the earth was created by God and I think it was just created by whatever natural forces, and you call that God, then yeah, that same natural forces created people. We evolved, we came out of different creatures trying different things over years and years and years and years. Like, I can kind of buy that, you believe those forces created humans. Um, and if you want to say that God created us, then sure, I don't necessarily object to that. I object to God setting us up for failure, which is how I interpret what happened with the tree. Because he told Adam and Eve, whom he had freshly created, who were apparently mindless, who had no knowledge and who had no will. I'm sorry. They had like freedom of choice. They had the freedom to choose, but they didn't have knowledge, so they had no basis on which to form their choices. So God says, "Hey, don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil," which is a very specific tree. But we'll just go with it. We'll say, all right, there's a tree of knowledge of good and evil that will teach you things you're not supposed to know. Why not? Don't know. But okay. And God tells this to these people that he's created who don't have any rules at all programmed into them. God made them without those rules. And so a snake comes along and is like, hey, if you eat, you should eat from this tree of knowledge of good and evil. It'll tell you what's good and what's evil, which is true. It does that. The only reason that they shouldn't eat from it is because God told them not to, and it's unclear why God told them not to. There's no real reason given. He just expects them to blindly follow his advice, even though he didn't give them the knowledge of what's good and evil yet. So without the knowledge of good and evil, they're supposed to avoid making the evil decision of not listening to God and instead listening to the snake. But of course, they don't have that knowledge, so they listen to the snake. How is that not God setting us up for failure? I do not understand. But he says that it's not. So we got really hung up there. I also apologize for the general sheen on my face. I'll try and lift this up so that the shadow's not as bad, but it's just hot in here, and I'm sitting in my car to cut down on the noise, so it's a little extra warm. It's summer right now, it's June. So we get really hung up with the Garden of Eden thing. And I start asking Dad, like, well, how do you believe that this God is even real? Like, what does this even matter? And he basically said, skip the Old Testament. But then he also later said, no, you have to consider the big picture, the whole thing. And like, it's really unclear what you're supposed to follow and what you're not. It's arbitrary. He's just not being honest. It is whatever you need at the time. Through arguing back and forth quite a bit, and I'm very upset because this is the second time in my life my parents have not listened to me when it greatly concerns my future, my well-being, my past, my life, the life that they took from me. So it's it's re-hitting all those old fucking trauma notes, and they're sitting there like, this is a repetitive conversation. I'm like, you're making it repetitive because your answer to everything is God, Jesus. And then I ask you, well, who is your God? What does that mean? And you can't answer. Your best answer is Bible verses. And it's like, well, wait a second. The Bible introduced God. The Bible can say whatever it wants about God. And I personally see a vast difference of the God portrayed between the Old Testament and the New Testament, between even individual books of the Bible. Like, it's humans wrote the Bible, and they all had their own version of God. And you have your own version of God. But he says, no, it's one true God, and they're all right. Like, that's what he said, was that they are all accurate. And that's what I don't agree with. I think the Bible, and this is my most charitable theistic interpretation, because I don't necessarily think that there is a God. Why would we believe that? Why would he need to write a book? Why would he need to do it through humans? Why couldn't he teach us in any other way? Maybe one that's like less shittily written, maybe one that's more consistent, maybe one that's more convincing to everybody. But no, he made this mystical test that only you passed because only you swallowed the bullshit pill. And because you swallowed the bullshit pill, that's your excuse to not respect, to dehumanize everyone who hasn't swallowed the bullshit pill, to make them other, to say that those are the enemy. Not that they've done anything wrong, not that they've spewed half the lies you've spewed, but they are now your enemy, and you will have nothing to do with them. It's psycho shit. It's psycho shit. It's basic cult shit. A child can poke holes in their logic, but they believe it. They believe it's real, and it has life and death consequences, and it ruined my life. And they're still going out there every Sunday spreading the word because they think that it's a good thing. But it's founded on a lie. Jesus was a guy. Because I do think that there was a Jesus. I think Jesus of Nazareth is an identifiable historical figure. I don't think he was a son of God. Yeah, back to my most generous theistic interpretation. A God set our world in motion. A God created us, but I don't think he created us like personally. I don't think he created us specially. I think that we arose out of the natural processes that he set in motion. I think that we are very, very lucky to be here. I don't think we were chosen by God. I think we're just fortunate. I think that Jesus was a charismatic figure and a good teacher who had some good ideas. I don't think he was divine. I don't think he was the son of God. I don't think he was perfect. I think he was a person. I don't think that, I hope that Old Testament God isn't real at all. And the New Testament God isn't really that much better. He's just different kind of shitty. So I personally don't believe that either of those are the real God. I don't see why anyone would. Again, the Bible was written by humans who were trying their best to describe God, and they believed that they were getting close, and that's why they wrote all these verses. That's what you got to remember. These verses about how real the Bible is are coming from the Bible that was written by humans. The problem with founding your religion on a lie is that it gives you a blank check to do whatever the fuck you want and justify it as, well, this is what God wants. Well, this is following Jesus' path. Because the Jesus' path presented in the Bible is so, you can pretty much say whatever you want in it. It's got some good and some bad. Yeah, if you're trying to live anything like the God of the Bible, you're going to be a bad person. If you're trying to live like the Jesus of the Bible, you might do okay, but you're still going to have proclivities toward badness. Like, your whole thought process is flawed. It's foundationally based on a wrong thing, and everything built on that is wrong. And you get this idea, like, they have this self-assurance that they are correct, and they believe that God confirms that they are correct every time they pray. And so this happy feeling that they get convinces them that they are right, and that they are right in following God's word, in doing whatever it is they do, good or bad. So if there are any Christian parents out there, please don't force it on your kids. If you refuse to give it up, at least don't force it on your kids. But you probably should give it up because it's a harmful, dangerous thing that is hurting people. It ruined my life. It might ruin your kid's life. Don't, please. And if there are any kids out there whose parents are forcing you to go to church, I honestly suggest running away. I wish that I had run away as a kid. My parents forced me to move instead. I lost everything. I've had nothing ever since, and they are not even sorry. So if your parents are like that, run. Well, on that note, thank you for watching this video. I don't really know what's gonna happen on this channel. I'm just gonna keep, posting videos every now and then, just whatever comes out of my life. My life is a fucking mess right now, so it's gonna be shit like this. It's gonna be random animations or like goofs. It's just so hard to focus on that when my own parents have done so much damage to me, and now I'm just on my own trying to fix it all, and I can't. And I can't even rely on them to comfort me for the biggest damage in my life, because they're the ones who caused it, and they don't see it. And they keep telling me, all I can say is that I love you. I'm like, yeah, you sure can only say it. You are incapable of showing it. If you could change for me, that'd be great. If you could show any indication that you're different people than the ones who ruined my life, that would be great. But you're doubling down. You're doubling down on bullshit and ignoring my pleas for help. So, I deleted their phone numbers, I deleted their emails, and I'm just not gonna even try to change their minds anymore, because it was a waste of time and energy for me, and it was just hurting me that my own parents don't want to hear it. the same as it was. I don't know why I expected it to change. I just had to try. It hurts that my parents don't believe me, that every time I need them, they're not there. Their fake bullshit God comes between us. But I love them. I can't help it. It's realer than their God. So, please, use your brains for my sake. Thank you.